If there's one place on Earth where glass and steel define human ambition, it's New York City. And along the southern edge of Central Park, ambition took on a new shape: Billionaires Row. It isn't one street, but a collection of ultra-luxury towers stacked shoulder to shoulder along 57th Street. Each one a statement of wealth, power, and precision, but also of problems. Built for the world's elite, apartments here can sell for tens of millions. And at the center of this glittering skyline stands one tower that redefined what ambition even means, a structure so narrow it looks like it shouldn't exist at all. Steinway Tower. At 1,428-foot-tall line drawn into the sky, the world's thinnest skyscraper and one of its loneliest. How did we get here? From a historic piano hall to a $2 billion needle of concrete and glass. And why did this engineering marvel become one of New York's most haunting symbols? To find out, we need to go back to where art, architecture, and obsession collided. Unlike other skyscrapers that began with a blank plot of land, Steinway Tower was born from a relic. Steinway Hall, built in 1925, the home of the world-famous piano makers, designed by Warren and Wetmore, the same minds behind Grand Central Terminal. Developers couldn't demolish it. It was a landmark. So they did something harder. They decided to build a super tall tower from within it, one that would rise like a modern chord above the music hall itself. The plan? To construct a skyscraper with a footprint just 59 feet wide by 75 feet deep, smaller than most suburban houses, but rising to 1,428 feet high. That's a 24-to-1 height-to-width ratio, meaning the tower is 24 times taller than it is wide. No building on Earth had ever reached that level of slenderness. To make it possible, engineers anchored nearly 200 steel rods into the bedrock of Manhattan, plunging up to 100 feet deep. That foundation would bear the weight of billions of pounds of concrete and steel in one of the narrowest footprints ever attempted. But foundations were just the beginning. The true enemy of a tower this thin wasn't gravity, it was wind. At 1,400 feet high, the tower faces gusts strong enough to push or twist the structure. And when wind flows around something tall and narrow, it creates swirling eddies, a phenomenon called vortex shedding. If ignored, it can literally shake a skyscraper to pieces. So engineers did something radical. They designed the wind out. On the 51st, 71st, and 86th floors, they left entire sections open, massive gaps in the façade that allow air to pass straight through the tower. Those voids break up dangerous wind patterns and keep the structure stable, a technique so bold it turned engineering into sculpture. But even with these openings, the tower still needed strength. Its sheer walls, the vertical concrete cores that hold everything together, are some of the thickest ever poured for a residential building, up to 36 inches at the base, tapering to 16 inches near the crown. And this isn't regular concrete. It's 14,000 psi ultra-high-strength concrete, nearly double what most skyscrapers use. To prevent swaying, outrigger trusses, massive internal beams, tie the central spine to the outer walls, turning the whole structure into something like an upright ship's hull, slicing through the wind. Even then, at the highest floors, the building still moves several feet during storms, a reminder that perfection, at this scale, is never absolute. By 2021, after 8 years of construction and over $2 billion spent, Steinway Tower finally rose above the skyline, a vertical symphony of engineering. But for all its precision and brilliance, another question waited below the surface. Who would actually live here? When Steinway Tower opened, developers imagined billionaires racing to buy slices of the sky. After all, this was Billionaires Row, the most coveted address on Earth. But instead of a buying frenzy, they got silence. Sales stalled. The tower went through 3 sales teams in 6 years. Buyers hesitated. The prices were astronomical, the units too small, and the reputation uncertain. By 2022, nearly half the units were technically sold, but most of those were contracts, not closings. When it came time to pay, many walked away. Meanwhile, the financial structure behind the project began to crumble. The developers had borrowed hundreds of millions, and by 2017, they defaulted on a $325 million loan. Investors sued. Lenders threatened foreclosure. The project, which had started as a triumph of design, had become a cautionary tale of over-leverage and ego. Airbase Corporation, one of the major backers, lost its entire stake. Apollo Real Estate wrote off $82 million in 2023 just to move on. Even when sales did happen, they came at brutal discounts. A condo first listed at $14.2 million sold for just $1.75 million. In some cases, prices dropped 17% or more below the original listing. The world's thinnest skyscraper had become one of its most expensive failures. And yet, there was something strangely poetic about it. In a city built on dreams and risk, Steinway Tower stood as both, a literal monument to how far ambition can stretch before it breaks. Step inside, and the contradiction becomes even sharper. The building is filled with 59 residences, 45 in the tower, and 14 inside the restored Steinway Hall base. Each apartment takes up a full floor, some stretching into duplexes, and at the very top, a 4-story penthouse listed for over $110 million. Private elevators glide silently upward. They open directly into apartments trimmed with Italian marble, bronze fixtures, and rare woods. There's an 82-foot indoor lap pool under vaulted ceilings, a paddle court, and even a private barber and shoeshine stand. This is New York luxury at its most precise, an engineering symphony dressed as a penthouse dream. But here's the irony. For all that extravagance, much of the tower remains empty. At night, entire floors go dark. Only a handful of the Steinway Hall apartments have ever been leased, some renting for up to $75,000 a month, others still untouched, their lights never flicked on. Even with recent sales recovering, $263 million in 2024 alone, the tower still feels eerily quiet, like a vertical ghost ship floating above Central Park. And Steinway Tower isn't alone. Across Billionaires Row, nearly half of all ultra-luxury apartments sit vacant. They were never really built to be lived in. They were built to be safety deposit boxes in the sky. Places where global wealth, from Russian oligarchs to Middle Eastern royalty, could hide, not homes, but investments with a view. From the street below, they shimmer like progress. But inside, the silence tells a different story. In 2023, luxury home sales across New York fell by nearly 40%. At the same time, average rents hit record highs, with millions of ordinary New Yorkers struggling to find affordable housing, while $50 million condos sat in darkness just blocks away. That's the paradox of Billionaires Row, a skyline built for the few, while the many fight to stay grounded. Thousands of jobs were created, yes, steelworkers, concrete crews, electricians, but in the end, the city gained almost no new homes. Steinway Tower was supposed to be the pinnacle of ambition, 12 years in the making, the thinnest skyscraper ever built, a $2 billion expression of what humanity can do when it refuses to settle for average. And yet, it became a reminder that even the greatest engineering feats can fail when they forget who they're built for. Because ambition without purpose becomes vanity. A skyline without people becomes a monument, not a city. Today, Steinway Tower still stands, proud, elegant, defiant. Its needle-thin form slicing the clouds, its shadow stretching across Central Park like a sundial marking the cost of excess. It remains one of the most beautiful failures in modern architecture, a masterpiece of design that lost its soul to speculation. So maybe the question isn't how did they build it, but why did they build it at all? Would you live in the world's thinnest skyscraper, a marvel of concrete and glass balanced between genius and greed? Or do some dreams simply reach too high to ever feel like home?